Okay, thanks for coming to IT's training session on cybersecurity. Want to go over a few things today to help you guys out. I entitled my presentation, Protecting Yourself from Yourself. Most cybersecurity issues, I think, come down to us as users making the right choices, doing the right things. And you know, when most of the time when we have cybersecurity issues, it's when someone made an incorrect choice, clicked on a link they shouldn't have, done something like that. So I'm going to run through a few things that we can do to help you out, and we will see how it goes. So here we are. Point number one. Apparently you can't use beef stew as a password because Joni's laughing. At least somebody got it. This tidbit's brought to you today by Andy. If you guys haven't met Andy yet, Andy Pope is the newest guy in the IT office. I've kept him hidden away for the last couple weeks, and I'm going to continue to do so. You will get to see Andy a whole lot more come August, but for right now, I've got him on a very important mission-critical task. So
welcome, Andy.
Yeah, we're super glad to have Andy on board. He's not as glad to be here as he thought he was going to be. No. If you didn't get the joke, you can see Andy later. All right, let's talk about some actual things. Good password practices. Man, that's some small text. You guys should have sat closer. So, to be quite honest with you, these are bullet points that I Googled good password practices to write them down for you. So, these are the stereotypical things that you're going to hear from people when you ask them, what should I use for a good password? These are things you should and shouldn't do. You should use a mix of capital case, lowercase, all these different types of characters. Don't use your name, don't use things in sequence. These are common things. And I think a lot of times when you guys hear me say, I'm going to tell you how to, do a better job with your passwords, this is what you think I'm going to say. And this stuff's important. I'm not trying to minimize that. It's important that you do pick a good password and that you do follow a lot of these things. When we're done, I'll make a copy of these slides and post along with the video that we're recording. That way you guys can go back and reference these notes later. These are great things. You should follow these. But these in themselves will help you have a good password that's not easy to be, let's use cracked as our nerd word. Okay, so if I were going to sit down with some software and try to brute force figure out your password, do all the nerd things and try to figure it out, if you followed all these rules, I would have trouble getting your password because it would be long and have a lot of special characters, and it would take me hundreds of days or hours of computer cycles to figure out your password. So these are good things to have, but that really only protects you from someone who's trying to, quote, crack your password. So what I want to talk about today are things beyond that of how can we protect you from other issues. Say you have a great password, that's all good and fine. If you don't follow the next few things and protect yourself from yourself, then the good password didn't do you any good. Okay? So you guys can read through these later. I'm not going to go through them point by point. Let's move on to some other things. First point is securing physical devices. So having the best password in the world does you no good if you log into your computer and get up and walk away from it. Vicky.
Mark.
Vicky would not do that, except for yesterday. But other than that, she would not do that. No, seriously. You can have a great password. You can protect it, not tell anybody. But if you log into a device and you walk away from it, you have not secured the physical device. Therefore, it doesn't matter whether they know your password or not. So log into your Amazon account, leave it logged in, and walk away from the computer. Anyone can buy stuff as you because you're logged in. Same thing's true with your email account. We can check your email. We can send email as you. We can do all kinds of things. So securing your physical device is one of the most important things. So let's talk about some things in that area. Don't allow the browser to remember your password. You're on the website. You go to Amazon, Gmail, Facebook, Yahoo, whatever it is that you use. You go to your websites, and it pops up and says, do you want to let the device remember your password? Well, sure, that's easy for you because you can click, yeah, let's remember that, okay? But remember, we're protecting you from you. So when you get up and walk away, if the browser has remembered all your passwords, and I sit down at your computer, I don't need to know any of your passwords because they're all remembered, and I can just go to all your sites and log in. Okay? So protect you from you. Yeah, it's a convenience that we're going to give up, but we're not going to have to worry about people accessing our account if we were to get up and walk away from our computer and not physically secure it. Firefox is the golden example of this. If you remember your passwords in Firefox, not only can I sit down, logged in as you, and go to all your websites, but Firefox has a setting where you can go in there and click show me all the passwords, and it will just show me a list of all your passwords. Okay? So I don't even need to go to the sites. I can just write them all down and go to them from my computer later. So remembering passwords in web browsers is really not a good idea. I know it's easy and it's convenient, but if we're concerned about security, what's easiest and convenient is not always going to be the best choice. Lock your computer when you walk away from it. On a Windows computer, you hold down the Windows button, the one between Control and Alt, and you push L. And when you do that, it will lock the computer and you can walk away and no one can log in as you. So it's just that simple, just Windows L and you're good to go. So just a little trick to help you out. If you're going to get up and walk away from the computer, you're not going to be within eyesight of it, lock it. It's going to lock itself in 10 or 15 minutes, but that's still a lot of time for things to happen. So one little step, save yourself. Cell phones, lay your cell phone down somewhere. So anybody can walk by, pick it up. I'm sure you're logged into all your apps on your cell phone. So protect your physical cell phone. Put a thumbprint on it, enable the passcode for it. I know a lot of these steps are extra work, but you will thank me when you don't get your stuff stolen later. So protect your phones. Phones, to me, is one of the easiest ones because I leave mine laying around all the time and walk off and forget it. But I don't have to worry about somebody picking it up and using it because without my thumbprint or my passcode, they can't get into it. Don't let anyone use your devices logged in as you, especially here. A lot of the things I'm talking about today kind of address some of your personal things, but even applying here at Gordon Cooper in the business setting is if you log into a computer and you let a student use it, I explained this to somebody the other day as, think about it as your digital thumbprint. Your login is your digital thumbprint. So if you log in, everything that someone does on the computer while you're logged in, they're putting your thumbprint on it. So whatever website they go to, they're putting your thumbprint on it. Whatever thing they buy, whoever they send an email to, everything they do has your thumbprint on it. So when they come to me later and they say, hey, so-and-so did something they shouldn't have, can you see who that was? Well, I'm going to find your name, even though it wasn't you that did it. So don't log into the computer for the student to use. I know sometimes that's easy because if theirs isn't working, you don't want to create a ticket and wait on that IT department with a super quick response time to take care of it for you. But still, logging in as yourself opens you up to a big liability. So don't let other people use your devices logged in as you. Logging out of websites on public or shared devices is kind of a big one too. Your Amazon accounts, your Facebook accounts, whatever, when you sign into those, when you close the web browser, that doesn't mean you've logged out. That just means you closed the web browser. So if you go to Facebook, you send some messages and you just go click the X in the top corner, you haven't signed out. So if someone opens that back up within the session timeout, they're still signed in as you. So actually sign yourself out of those websites. Usually, top right corner, there's some kind of a button that'll say my account or have your name. Just, every site's going to be a little bit different, but you can click there and there'll be a sign out option. I'm going to show you guys Amazon here in a minute. And so while I'm there, someone remind me, I'll show you how to sign out of Amazon. So if you're using a device that's shared with a couple other people, sign out when you're done with those websites. Okay? Questions there? Okay. My favorite, one of the best ones I'm going to tell you about today is two-factor authentication. So what two-factor authentication, sounds kind of fancy, it's just saying that to log into a site, we're going to require two different things. So two factors, two sources of authentication for you to be able to sign in. This would be like, legal documents where they're like, hey, we need your driver's license and your social security card. So we're saying we need to double verify that you are who you say you are. Same thing's true here. Almost all of the big service providers, Google does it, Yahoo does it, Amazon does it, Facebook does it. Almost everyone has this ability to enable two-factor authentication. So two-factor authentication, I'm going to show you some examples, kind of give you a little more explanation of what it is, what it does, how it works. But this is the best way to protect your accounts from other people logging into them. All right? So Most of them, it's a couple clicks to get it set up. Once it's set up and turned on, it's going to work in a couple different ways. So depending on the service and the options, what will happen is you'll go to the website like you normally would. You'll type in your username, type in your password. After you type in your password, it's going to give you another prompt. That prompt is going to be for a code of some kind or an authentication of some kind. So the one I'm going to show you here in a minute is Amazon. Okay, so on Amazon's, I have another app that's on my phone that generates a 6-digit number. So if you go to Amazon, you sign in with your username and your password, it's then going to ask you for another code. So then I have to go open the app and I get the 6-digit code that I can put into it. That 6-digit code's only good for like 30 seconds. So this way, I can literally give you my password and you won't be able to log in my Amazon account because you have to have the code that can only be generated from my phone. Facebook has a couple. Sorry?
The app that you...
Different services will be different. It'll just depend. I actually use, there's a generic app made by Google called Google Authenticator. And so what you do is you go into Amazon, you enable two-factor authentication, and it's going to ask you, how do you want to do the second factor? So some of the different options are, you can have it text you a code to put in, you can register it with another app, which is what I did, which is the Google Authenticator, different ones are different ways. Google has an app you can install on your phone, and it'll just pop up, and you just hit yes, that it is you that's trying to log in, and it lets you log in. Okay, so it really is kind of service dependent. I'm trying to stay kind of on the higher view of this subject so that we don't get into a lot of the details. So you'll have to do a little research for whatever it is that you use. But that second authentication mechanism is almost foolproof in keeping people from getting into your accounts. So I thought long and hard about doing this, but I really wanted to drive my point home. So I'm going to actually give you guys my personal Amazon account password. Okay? So this is the password to my Amazon account right now. So you can go to Amazon, use my email address, and type that in, and you still cannot get into my Amazon account. Because on my phone, I have the app that's giving a new 6-digit code every 30 seconds, and without that code, you can't get in. So I'm actually going to show you real quick. You'll notice I am not signed in because I signed myself out. Okay, so yeah, my wife shops on my Amazon account.
So does she have to call you or text you for the code?
Yes.
That happens in my family too.
All right, so Marty, sign in. Okay, so now we're at enter second code. So at this point, if you can't get the code off my phone, you can't log in. So even having my password, I can blatantly tell you my password, you can't get into my account. That's how well two-factor authentication works. So ways to get around that would be, number one, you got to get my password first. So let's say somehow you do get my password. The only way you're getting that code is off of my phone. All right, so, all right, well, I'll wait till you're not looking and I'll swipe your phone. Okay, it's got my thumbprint on it and a 4-digit passcode to get into it as well. So, I mean, I guess you can choke me out and use my lifeless thumb to get into the phone. At that point, you deserve into my Amazon account, okay? If you want it that bad, you can have it. Okay, so just a quick example of how well two-factor authentication works. I use it on my Google account. On the Google account, it's really simple. When I log into my Gmail, it will send a little notification to my phone. It pops up and says, someone's trying to log in. Is it you? I hit the yes button, and it goes right on through. I use it on Facebook. Facebook, I use the text. So when I log into a Facebook page somewhere, it actually texts me a 6-digit code to put in. I use it on Amazon. I use it on several other different sites. Some sites where I've bought video games, and I use it even on those, because if someone logs into my account, then I've lost whatever I purchased there. Okay, so it's a little bit more work, completely worth the trouble in the fact that I can rest assured that no one's going to be able to get into my accounts. So
you use the same, of course the code would be different if they.
Right, and so even if I got the code out right now and told you this, which I could do, but we're using the phone as a camera, so if I showed you the code, it's only good for 30 seconds. So even if you looked over my shoulder and wrote down my 6-digit code, it'll only work for 30 seconds and then it's not good anymore. So it's really, really secure to do it this way. And the idea is not to just go around telling everybody, oh, well, this is my password. You can't get in because I have two-factor authentication. The concept is just to give yourself that extra step of protection that's that secure. So a lot of issues can be prevented this way, so that you can say, you know, hey, even if my password gets out, we're still good. Okay? Anybody want to write that down before I'm going to change it. I know that's not actually my password. I did lie to you guys a little bit. All right. So other ways, other side. Any questions on two-factor before I go on? That's kind of the biggest one that I want you to take home today, is that these are very simple ways that you can go in and enable these services on your devices and protect yourself. So any questions there?
So you have to go to each account and set that up?
Yes.
And you can do it like on bank accounts?
It will just depend on your service provider. So my bank account doesn't have a two-factor authentication service. They have an additional little method of kind of two-factor authentication that I pick a picture, a pre-picture, and I put my own caption underneath it. So like right now, mine's like of like a deer or something, and then I put my own little caption under it. So when I go to log in, it will show me that picture and that caption, and I know that I'm at my bank's website that way. So that way there's no questions of I may be a different bank's, or someone's redirected my bank's website and they're going to try to steal my information. So that's just a different type of two-factor authentication. So I can't really answer your question directly. I'm sorry.
Yeah, like my bank has that too.
Yeah. Other questions? Okay, let's talk about using tools that your service may provide to you to help you kind of see what's going on with your account. So some services show devices that have recently used it. For example, my Gmail account, when I log in from a new computer, even after I do the two-factor authentication, if I've not logged in from that device before, it will send me a notification saying someone's logged into your account from somewhere. So those are things where they're trying to help you protect your own identity. I think a lot of times that stuff gets ignored, deleted, but they're trying to help you out. So kind of, paying attention to those things can be helpful. Facebook actually will show you what all devices have logged into your account and what IP addresses they've logged in from. So I'm going to jump over on Facebook real quick and kind of show you guys what that looks like. Don't tell Marty I was on Facebook. All right, so in the top right corner of Facebook, there's a little drop down. We're going to go to the settings page. In the top left corner, there is a security and login box. So here you see where you're logged in, and here's a list of devices that have logged into my Facebook account. So I'm not saying this is a daily practice for you, but maybe every once in a while you're thinking about it, go look and see what devices are logged into your Facebook account and make sure you recognize them. Now, some of them are a little bit tricky to recognize. When you mouse over them, you see it pops up the IP address that it logged in from. Well, that probably doesn't mean anything to you guys. Does anybody know where 164.58.107.207 is?
Here.
Just me?
Inside the
Here.
building.
It's here.
It is here. How'd you guys know it was here?
164.
Blind guess. You lucky guessers. Okay, so there is a website called whois.com. Okay, and whois is simply that. It helps the internet determine who is somebody. So in our case, we want to know who is based on an IP address. So 164.58.107.207. Type it right, looks like I did. So who is going to give you what looks like a lot of gibberish, but if you'll kind of focus down in this area, there is the customer. So Gordon Cooper Votech. Oh my gosh, someone at Gordon Cooper's logged into my Facebook. Yeah, it's because it's me. Because I just logged in for you guys. So a couple little tools. Takes a few minutes out of your day. I know it sounds kind of techy. You're looking up IP addresses and seeing who they belong to. But if we look that up and it belonged to some crazy that we didn't recognize, then that could be a red flag of, man, wonder if somebody's in my Facebook account. So at that point, Facebook, you can actually log these devices out. So we can actually say, hey, I don't know what this is. Let's just log it out. Log it out of your account. Go change your Facebook password, and you've now prevented someone being in your account. Okay? So not necessarily something you're going to do every day or for fun on the weekends, but maybe once every couple months while you're thinking about it, you're like, oh, I'm going to go see who's in my Facebook account, see if there's any devices in there you don't recognize, kick them out, save yourself some trouble. Questions?
If it's a personal, like say a residential IP address, will it actually show the name of the people who have the account for the internet service? It
will show you the internet service provider's name. Okay. So for example, mine, when I look at my home addresses, they'll either show AT&T or AtLink. And AtLink is my internet service provider, as well as I use an AT&T hotspot. So the IP addresses are registered to larger venues, not to individual users.
Okay, so if someone would actually find the residence that IP address was attached to, they'd have to go to the service provider to get that information?
Right.
Is it protected? Like, could anybody just go up to that company and say, I need to know whose IP address?
Yeah, it's customer privacy, and that will depend on the policies of the company. I would say no. If you call AT&T and say, where's this IP address at? They're not going to tell you.
Okay.
But for your own, just simply knowing whether someone's in your account or not, if you see something that is not your internet service provider, if you see something that belongs to Cox and you're an AT&T customer, that's not you.
Right.
So you can, just a simple tool to catch. We won't go into the digital forensics of actually finding the person that's in your account, just to get them out of your account. Make sense?
Yeah.
And probably shouldn't panic over if you see, like on yours said Dallas, Texas.
Right.
Because that could be where the server's based.
And the Dallas, Texas one is actually my AT&T hotspot.
Yeah, because
so AT&T has some headquartered, so those IP addresses are registered out of Dallas, Texas.
So if I'm on my computer at home on my Facebook account, it's not going to show AT&T Tecumseh, Oklahoma.
Correct. Okay. It could.
It might.
It could. I don't know what it will or not. Facebook is simple enough. If you have any questions, mine, there was like 15 devices there. Go through and kick them all out, and then log yourself back in from your device, and then there'll only be your one there. So it's not like a big deal if you kick them all out, including you kick yourself out. You just log back in. So, yeah.
I didn't write it down. Where did you go to on Facebook, or what did you?
So on Facebook, on the top right corner, there's a little triangle. And that will take you to a button that says Settings. And then inside Settings, there's one that says Login and Security.
Thank you.
Assuming my video recording works, my history has not been great in the last couple tries, but I will post this whole thing onto YouTube along with the slides for you guys to look at later. Other questions? Good questions. No? All right. On to the next one. Preventative measures. So let's talk about some things that you can do to kind of stay ahead. All right. So staying ahead of the game is key. We talked about two-factor authentication. That is one of the absolute best ones that you can do to prevent people being in your stuff. Some other things you can do. A lot of password leaks come from spam emails. You get this email. Man, it really looked like it was from Facebook. It really looked like it was from Twitter. I clicked the link on it. I typed in my Twitter account, my Twitter password, and then, all of a sudden people are in my account. Well, it's probably because that email didn't originate from Twitter. It just was made to look like it did. The one I see really often on that is eBay. You'll get an email that looks, it looks good. Looks like it came from eBay, but in actuality, it didn't come from eBay. It's just made to look that way. So check the email address of the emails that you receive. So if you get an email, and up in the top it says it's from Matt Wiles, next to it, in brackets, there will be the actual email address that it came from. Most of the time, when you read the email address, it's a no-brainer. Like, it's not, it'll say eBay, but then the actual email address will be somebody's name at something that you've never heard of, nothing that even resembles ebay.com. That's a good giveaway that, hey, this could be, or most likely is not legitimate. When you get something like that, you don't have to click any link in the email. So let's stick with the eBay example. You get an email, it looks like it's from eBay, they say you need to click here, log into your account and do something. I look at the email address, I'm not really sure, it doesn't look too suspicious, don't really know what to do, okay? Put the email aside, go directly to a web browser, go to ebay.com, log in from there, and see if you have any actions you need to take on your account. So rather than follow the link they send you that's going to guide you there, go there on your own. Okay? So you get an email from your bank that has a link in it to click on. Don't click on it. Call your bank or go directly to your bank's website and log in there. Because when you're going directly to the site, you know you can trust it. One other thing I wanted to show you on that front was a lot of websites nowadays are protected with certificates. So Chrome will show you up here this little lock, the green lock that says secure, and it has HTTPS. Any site that is green like that and has the lock, that means that the provider has gone through steps to verify to you that you're getting to their website. So this, I know I'm actually at google.com. No one has stepped in with a middleman attack. Nobody's redirecting me to some other website. I am actually at Google. It's certified and verified that it's Google. So a lot of times you'll get to a page that will come up and say, we couldn't verify the identity. Are you sure you want to continue? And the HTTPS will be red. That means that that check failed. You should not log into that website. Okay? So if you go to bankofamerica.com and that HTTPS is red in the corner and it gives you some kind of a warning, don't log in, because someone has tried to intercept the bankofamerica.com traffic and redirect it somewhere else, which means we're going to try to steal people's usernames and passwords. Okay? So little things to help you stay on the right path. Don't click on links and emails that lead to websites. Go directly to the website. When you get there, make sure we're looking at a truly secured page. Questions? Oh, come on. I know it's nerdy stuff, but it's helpful nerdy stuff.
Okay, question. So I've seen certificate at expiration. Like, it's not that the certificate thing is red and it's saying, certificate not verified. It's more like it's just expired. Yeah. Our own website has done that before.
Yes.
Prior to you being here. So how do you handle that?
Oh, it's probably done it post to me being here too. That means that whoever owns the website did not get their certificate renewed on time. That's just another protection in the certificate mechanism, is to make those expire. So that is again, I'm not logging into that site unless I really need to, especially if it's a large company. If it's Bank of America, if it's Amazon, if it's Google, and it's giving you an expired certificate, I mean, you can't tell me Google dropped the ball and didn't get their certificate renewed. So, you could think, well, it's just expired. They probably just didn't get it renewed in time. If it happens here, you're going to get an email from me saying, hey, you're going to get this error that it expired. We know it expired. We're working on it. It's safe for you to proceed. And that email will come from me, Matt W. at gctech.edu. If it doesn't come from Matt W. at gctech.edu, not me. Good question, though. Anybody else? Okay, last and most importantly, use two-factor authentication. Man, it saves you so much trouble. To me, you don't even have to worry about it. You don't even have to worry about it. If somebody's watching you type your password in, It's not even a big deal. I mean, I don't want anybody knowing my password, especially when it's something like I Love Marty, but even if somebody were to get your password, you don't have to worry about it, okay? Super helpful, very easy.
Hey,
Last chance.
One of my credit card companies, they had an identity or a data breach, and they gave me access to 2 years of this free monitoring service from this company. Well, immediately when I get the email, I look at it to make sure that it was actually from my bank. Then I went to the bank's website, confirmed that that actually happened, and followed through there rather than following the links in the email. And this company that does this, the identity monitoring, it has the strongest two-step identification I've ever seen. You go to the website, you log in, and it says, wait for phone call. It calls your cell phone, and you have to put in a PIN code. And when you do, it says, thank you for authenticating, and then, boop, it unlocks your account online.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
What company is it?
I've logged into it twice now just because it's kind of monotonous, and I couldn't tell you.
Yeah,
You have to have your phone with you to log
it's an
in.
identity monitoring program.
Yeah.
Monitoring your, most of what they monitor is like your social security number for financial activity.
You go in there and you put which
Yeah.
cards or whatever you want it to monitor and that kind of thing. So.
Like LifeLock or something?
Yeah, it's kind of like that, but it wasn't LifeLock, it was some other company. I don't know what it cost, my bank paid for it. So.
Find out.
Yeah, I'll look at it.
Do you recommend any identity protection companies? Have you heard anything out there industry-wise?
I don't know that I have any that I would recommend.
Hey, Renee, I'd actually read an article from the feds that said, unless you know that there's a breach or if you suspect that there's a breach, don't waste your money. They said that the risk of identity theft is relatively low, but if there's a breach and you know that there's a breach, then they recommend.
Well, what about Equifax? I mean, isn't everybody in there that has any form of credit? And there was a couple of data breaches there, so there goes your whole, credit history, all of that kind of. I mean, it's like the worst place you could have a data breach, almost, in terms of being able to open a new credit. So to me, that event in and of itself indicates that there could be a possibility of anybody really truly being in that situation.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I was just curious.
I don't use any personally, so I don't have a recommendation.
Yeah, I didn't.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Fortunately, it hasn't happened to me, but how are people hacking into Facebook? Is it a
Well-
simple process?
Probably one of the things that I covered today, people leaving themselves signed in, people using extremely simple things for a password. Kind of that very first sheet that we went through that I kind of skipped over and said, hey, you guys read these later, make good passwords. If you have something like password 123, some people use QWERTY, the QWERTY keys as their password. Anything simple like that, computer algorithms, it only takes a few hours to detect those because the true hacker software that's built to hack your password, it runs through all of those first. So hacking passwords is a time thing. It's how long does it take to do it? Well, it doesn't take very long to do it with simple things like that because those are the first things that the computer softwares try. So, I mean, picking a strong password is a good thing for you to do, but with two-factor authentication on your Facebook account, nobody's getting into it, even if they get your password. Yes?
Matt, do you have a different password for everything you log into?
Just I Heart Marty for everything. It's the only one I use. I use a variety of different passwords. I won't say I have a different one for everything, but I have 3 or 4 key passwords that I use. That was something that I was going to go over today to kind of help you guys out maybe, was a lot of times when I'm telling people you need to pick a better password, they're like, oh, I can't remember it. And so creating a complex password doesn't have to be something that's difficult to remember. So, some things that are, especially with websites that make you change them every so often, like the CenterSuite finance software, Like, go ahead and call out the finance department right now. That stupid software that makes you change your password every like 30 days so that every time I log in, I have to pick a new password.
Maybe you should log in more.
Let's talk about that. So even sites like that, though, if you come up with yourself with a system, so I have a password that I like to use. It's something that super easy for me to remember because it's meaningful to me. I love Marty. So, I mean, I just don't forget that because that's meaningful to me. So then what you can do is come up with a variation of that. So, for example, use your meaningful password. That's a good one. And then at the end of it, use the number 1. Well, then when the password expires, you can go to number 2. And then when that expires, you can go to number 3. So then, instead of having to remember, oh, crud, I used to use Pepsi, and then I changed it to Coke, and then it was Sprite, and now I don't remember what drink I'm on. You only need to remember what number you're on. So, okay, it's my password, and I'm on the 4th one, then I'm on the 5th one, okay? And then even further to make it more complex, one that I like to do is use the Shift key and number 1. So my password is my meaningful word and the exclamation point. Then when I need to change it, it's the meaningful word and the @ symbol. Then the meaningful word and the pound symbol, because I'm still going 1, 2, 3, 4, but I'm using the special character instead of the number. Does that make sense? So things like that can help you create better passwords, even ones that have to change very often, and then you're not constantly having to try to remember what you set it to.
Do you categorize your passwords, meaning for work you use a certain set, and for personal subset, a certain set, and financial, a different set?
They're all I love Marty. Every one of them. I want to think about that, whether I'm at work.
I love Marty too, and I love Marty as well.
No, whether I'm at work or home, that's exactly what's on my mind. You guys heard him say it. He loves Marty too. I actually decided that in order to enforce our users on campus changing their password, the new default password from IT for everything will be I love Marty. And no one will be able to stand to type that in more than one time, so they'll change it. He's going to watch this, so when you guys talk to the next IT director, get him to go with I love Marty as a default.
What about that password keeper that I use, the KeyPass?
You know, I think one of my slides, that one slide, had some of those in there that you can use. Some of those I think are fine. If you do like to use a lot of different passwords, albeit all your passwords are protected by a single password. Yes. So it doesn't matter how strong your passwords are if the one protecting them is not, strong the weakest link in the chain, right? So I've used some of those before. I personally don't use them anymore because, like I said, I kind of came up with a system that works for me to remember them. And so I don't really, I guess I have several different passwords, but they're all in a way that I kind of can remember them. So, but yeah, there are some things I don't. There are some that are very helpful. So LastPass is a good one. LastPass, there are about 3 of these listed on that slide that you guys can look at later. And LastPass is one of those. It's a where you can go in, you can save all your passwords in a password manager. It's far more secure than saving them in the web browser. So if you do have issues remembering passwords and you're like, hey, I know you said don't do that, but I have to. I can't help it. Look at something like LastPass. There are 2 other ones recommended there. One of them is called OnePass or OnePassword, I think. Those are better designed. The one like you have, David, is another type of those where that's actually a local saved file, which is even more secure. LastPass is a cloud-based one. The nice part about LastPass is that it's cloud-based, so wherever you log in, if you can log into LastPass, you can then get all your passwords to log in with your device. Yes?
You may have already answered this question, but what about whenever you're on a computer and it'll ask you, do you want to save your password to this?
Yeah, that's where I recommend don't ever save it. Tell it never. It's just not a good way to store your passwords. Okay. It's not secure enough. Last chance. This is the end.
As far as
As far as Facebook's concerned, why would you be worried about the Facebook one? I don't understand. What's on Facebook that they can get you with? It's just personal information. I mean, pictures, little things like that, so.
I fully agree. If you got into my Facebook, you wasted your time and you're gonna be really bored. There's nothing there. I don't know. I mean, I guess you could send some messages as me and have some fun.
Typically, a lot of people will take pictures of like the meals they're eating, saying, "Hey, I had this at
Yeah.
Western Sizzlin' today in
Right.
Shawnee, Oklahoma," and so people can get your range of where you are.
Yeah, they can
from
kind of track where you've
Right.
been.
Okay.
That's one of the many things.
Sure.
That's one of those that it's as secure as you want it to be. I think at the end of the day, if I ask you, well, do you want me posting stuff on your Facebook account? You would say no, because is it going to be the end of the world if I do? Probably not. But at the same time, why would you want me doing that?
Yeah.
So.
And why would you want to in the first place? But,
Oh, I fully agree. I fully agree. But what I want to do and what other people want to do aren't always the same.
right. I just wasn't understanding the Facebook one. Why?
It's also data collection. If you like, post pictures on here, oh, here's my dog Benson.
All right.
Well,
Yeah.
Benson could now be their password for something else.
Oh, wow. Okay. I just don't think that way, I guess.
You think about it this way. Say, for example, I log into your Facebook and I make a threat against the White House from your Facebook account. At that point, I'm probably going to get a visit from some gentlemen in suits.
Sunglasses.
Okay, but that visit's not going to come to me because I posted it from your Facebook account. So that visit's going to come to you. And they're going to be going, why'd you post this? So, not that they won't eventually find the right place, but why deal with the hassle? So,
So you can post
all right,
reviews and things like that.
questions, complaints, whole list of email addresses for you to use to send those to. We will be glad to hear them.
You said you're gonna put this on YouTube. Do we have our own channel?
Yes,
And it's channel name?
Gordon Cooper Technology Center.
Okay.
And now I run all this stuff.
I always just click on the link when you send me an email.
Yeah.
But
As you.
If you click on the link of one of the ones I sent you, and you look right below the video,
Because you don't.
there'll be our logo, and it'll say Gordon Cooper. If you click on that, it will take you to our
Or
page.
on Instagram, or whatever.
Subscribe to it.
Yeah, you can subscribe and get notifications every time we do a video.
I'm not clicking a link from any email that you send. Thought I learned.
Like and subscribe.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
You are welcome.